With State of Play just behind us and Steam Next Fest right around the corner, there's no shortage of awesome topics to dive into in this week's episode. If you love Lords of the Fallen but prefer the color red over grey, this one will be exactly down your alley. Crimson Moon is a new action RPG from Probably Monsters, a studio founded by former Bungie CEO Harold Ryan. You play as a Nephilim, half human, half angel, sworn to reclaim the fallen metropolis of Gildenark. What was once the last refuge of humanity is now overrun by demons, undeads, vampires, and something called Hellgrowth. Surprisingly, they didn't all walk into a bar, so no joke here. The game's progression is centered around pushing back the infestation of the Hellgrowth, piece by piece, eventually leading to confrontations with ancient dead gods and the vampire lord behind the city's collapse. It's always those sparkly bloodsuckers, isn't it? The combat looks similar to Lords of the Fallen, melee-based with parries, but with additional finishers, angelic abilities, and way more red. You can play either solo or in two-player co-op, with missions that are designed as repeatable adventures with changing map layouts and optional modifiers for higher rewards. You can share revives, combine abilities, and trigger stronger effects together. The game is set for release later this year for PC and consoles. Almost half a year after its release, Ghost of Yōtei is finally getting a co-op expansion, and it's completely free. Ghost of Yōtei Legends is part of the update 1.5 and will launch mid-March. And if you remember the Legends mode from Ghost of Tsushima, you already know what to expect. For everyone else, just imagine Japanese Elden Ring Night Rain. Or not actually. Let me explain. The content splits into two parts. A survival mode where you defend yourself against hordes of monsters, and a two-player story campaign with larger four-player boss battles. These bosses consist of the legendary Yōtei Six, monsters taken from Japanese folklore like the Oni or Kitsune. Maps rotate through seasonal variants, but will all be located in Yōtei instead of Tsushima. There are 4 classes to choose from: Samurai, Archer, Mercenary, or Shinobi, each wielding a katana, but also their own weapon and fighting style, ranging from gadget play to long range or stealth. The modes, aside from the story, are 4-player groups only. But there is matchmaking and a lobby with small mini-games for in between the runs. With all that said, the DLC being free, you still need to own the base game and a PlayStation Plus subscription to play online. So keep that in mind. If you enjoy Japanese settings, but prefer it a bit more strategic and significantly more stealth-focused than Ghost of Yōtei, this one might be the one for you. In Yakoh Shinobi Ops, stealth and deception is everything, while combat is possible but highly discouraged. The game drops you in teams of up to 4 into heavily guarded castles under cover of night. Your mission? Infiltrate the stronghold, clear the objective, and get out alive. All of you preferably. The missions reward clean runs, while unnecessary kills or fallen teammates reduce payouts. Patrolling guards, traps, and tight sidelines demand careful planning on your part. The focus is deception, timing, and staying unseen. So-called pursuers, immortal hunters, enter the map once things go wrong, probably turning your carefully planned strategy into a distant memory. Like a massive domino setup that collapses the second Greg decides to ask a guard for directions. There are safety nets like revives, body carries, and smoke covers. But the clock is ticking, so better be quick about them. Each of the 4 shinobi brings tools like grappling hooks, smoke screens, or distraction devices. And while the game is best played in teams of 4, you can also replace some of the 4 shinobi, like Greg, with NPCs, which might be better or worse, depending on your group. And although it already looks very solid, we still have to wait until next year when it launches on PC and PS5. It's 2005. YouTube just launched, MySpace is at its peak, and the Xbox 360 hit store shelves for the first time. Among the many fond memories of that year is also the release of Descent, a genre-defining dungeon crawler that has remained a staple ever since. Now, over 20 years later, Terrinoth Heroes of the Descent adapts it into a tactical RPG for PC and consoles, launching this spring. The game tells you an original story set in the fantasy realm of Terrinoth, where you assemble a party of heroes and set out on an adventure. There are 20 handcrafted maps with fully voiced missions, and dialogue can shift depending on which heroes you bring along. And talking of bringing along, you can bring along up to 3 friends for a party of 4. Seamless drop in, drop out, even during missions, is fully supported, respecting that everyone has a different schedule and maybe can't stick around until 4 AM, wherever that might be. Fans of Divinity Original Sin will feel right at home with the turn-based combat built around positioning, elevation, line of sight, and most importantly, elemental reactions. 8 distinct heroes are available, from frontline fighters to ranged and magic specialists. Party composition influences both combat synergies and story moments, and dungeons can be replayed with different setups for new tactical approaches. And if you want to have a look for yourself, the developers just published the demo on Steam for you to check out. And to balance out all the action in this episode, we've got something a bit more laid back as well. Gloomveil is an upcoming top-down exploration game, where you play as tiny beetles. You explore the ruins of a fallen insect kingdom, now overtaken by a dense, dreamlike forest. There is no quest marker or intrusive UI. Instead, the world tells its story through subtle environmental detail and optional conversations. Your choices can lead to alliances, avoidance, or unnecessary fights. And while combat exists, it's rarely the smart option, since you are also rather low on the food chain. Larger creatures dominate their territories, so it's better to observe and memorize than rushing in. There are hidden paths, caves, and shortcuts, encouraging you to mentally map the terrain rather than following a checklist. A dynamic day-night cycle shifts not only the mood, but also your surrounding, making everything more risky when the sun sets. There is local co-op for 2 players, playable in split screen or shared view, with remote play supported. A demo is already live on Steam, offering a small slice of the forest, and it's simply adorable. A while ago, we talked about Monster Hunter Stories 3, and with the 3 in the name and just little info published at the time, we assumed the gameplay to be similar to its predecessors. But with the demo available now, this turned out to be wrong on one specific detail: the multiplayer. Stories 3 will launch as a single-player experience only, leading to massive disappointment among fans that shared our hopes and expectations. And while there are already petitions that call for co-op to be added post-launch, we will have to wait and see if Capcom will go back to the drawing board for it. And more Monster Hunter news this week. After Wilds finally got its performance update, reviews began to recover. Now the game is heading towards its final update before the first big DLC drops. The update centers all around its first year anniversary, letting you replay previous festivals and claim their rewards. There will also be a new event and a stories crossover with cel-shaded eggs and palicos. Count us in! We have never talked about Granblue Fantasy Relink on this channel before, mainly because the release was BCP in our timeline. Now, 2 years later, the game gets its first big DLC called Endless Ragnarok. It will contain a new storyline and region with new monsters, deeper character progression, and much more. Finally, the 4-player co-op will now be available across platforms too. If you can't beat them, join them. Or let them join you? I don't know, but Blizzard just revealed their secret class for Diablo. And it's a warlock! The warlock wields hellfire and controls enslaved demons, summons, binds, and devours them however they please. Sounds dark and fitting. And we say for Diablo because it will launch for Diablo 2, 4 and Immortal. Unfortunately, no love for 3 this time. Every version will also have their own release date, with 2 being available right now, 4 with Lord of Hatred at the end of April, and Immortal this summer. 2 weeks ago, we cleaned up Earth. Now we clean up space. The new Remnant update brings scrap worlds to No Man's Sky. Planets that are littered with rusty heaps, toxic sludge, and radioactive crates. Collect the waste with your gravity gun or exocraft, then transport it in new vehicles to waste processing plants. Just hope it doesn't explode along the way. Obviously, you don't do it for free, as you will get rare mats, nanites, and a cleaner planet as rewards. Where winds meet leaves winter behind with its new Spring's Bliss update. The update not only adds new world bosses, skills and challenges, but also raises the level cap of characters to 85. There will be new PvP seasons, limited events, cosmetics, and a festive spring theme across the game. The devs of Subnautica 2 just released a vlog about their work on multiplayer, and judging from a distance, it looks really good. They went over different aspects that matter when playing in a group, from transportations to small details like animations in first and third person view. With so much thought put into the systems, the co-op is likely to be great, at least if you don't have thalassophobia. When Marathon was first teased, it went through just about every phase imaginable. Hype, disappointment, plagiarism scandals, renewed enthusiasm, development setbacks, and ultimately an indefinite delay in mid-2025. Even more surprising, it's now making a comeback, with a server slam planned for early March this year. So if you would like to form your own opinion, invitations are open to everyone. During the State of Play, we already got a little bit excited when we saw God of War Sons of Sparta. Checking the PlayStation Store, our excitement grew even bigger as it stated co-op for up to 2 players. However, allegedly, it isn't. Fans that already bought it right after its surprise reveal are currently voicing disappointment, as there seems to be no multiplayer at all, not even unlockable later on. Very unfortunate. This week, we only got 1 freebie, and technically, it's not even a game. Until February 16th, you can download and use RPG Maker MZ for free and get a glimpse of gaming from the other side of the screen. And if you happen to discover a hidden talent for game development along the way, don't forget to include some solid co-op features in your debut. But that's it for this week. We wish you tons of fun in co-op with your favorite people, and we'll see you again in the next one.